I'm Alex.
And I'm Teddy.
And I'm Spencer.
And we are
The Button Mappers.
Hey, the Button Mappers.
Anybody got a clever intro?
Hi! It's me,
Hey.
HAL.
It's me, Iwata. Did you get how I sounded?
When translated into English, yes.
Spencer, hi.
Hi.
What's up?
We're doing something a little different today, huh?
Whoa! What are we doing? Whoever's hosting this? Who's hosting this?
It ain't me. I'll tell you that much because we're talking about HAL Laboratory.
Even though you are wearing your Kirby gear,
That's true.
Yeah.
that just
Rubbing
screams HAL, and I have
I
a
heard,
laboratory.
A very handsome person got you that shirt.
Yeah. Very handsome.
From the land of cocks.
Yeah.
Inside joke.
It's a little inside right there, yeah.
Well, peek behind the curtains here. We're talking about Kirby, and he likes cocks.
Whoa!
Today's episode is about Kirby and his love of cocks.
Talk about sucking and blowing.
Yeah, we're trying to reach a new demographic here. Chickens.
Yeah.
That's our that's the episode where we read Kirby fan fiction.
Oh God, do you think that exists?
Oh, absolutely! It's got to. It has to. There's
Like you gotta
fan
think
fiction
it
for
does,
everything.
but you gotta think it exists, but also like horrified that somebody would write that, like with the not as a joke, but like actually
Yeah.
gets his jollies off to that.
Listen, with the creative minds at HAL Laboratory and all the sucking and stuff that goes on in Forgotten Land, I would put it past no one.
Kirby
my
looked
God.
deep into DDD's eyes.
I want to suck you so fucking hard.
Yo, let me see that fucking hammer, bro.
Kirby, whoa!
Kirby.
That's a name you should know.
Is that the Texan DDD?
Yeah, that's literally all I know about the anime is that guy's voice. It's so
Oh,
crazy.
it's amazing.
Never has it been more suited than for this episode. Fine, I'll host. Hi.
So
So welcome, mappers, mappettes, mittens, and everything in between. We're gonna do a discourse, and this time it's gonna be intellectual. It's not actually that different, but what is different is we kind of jigsawed the readings. We read for today's episode. Imagine. It's my favorite color.
imagine if you will.
Take a moment and just imagine. Use your mind's eye. Picture us reading.
You're doing the Twilight Zone thing?
Yeah. Rod Serling.
Yeah.
We read a couple unique resources about HAL Laboratory and just a little preview. I think Alex is going to talk about the games. Spencer has a Schmuplations interview.
I got two of them.
Wow.
A little extra credit.
And I dug through the company profile and found a couple interesting facts. Speaking of interesting, what else might interest the viewers? Alex.
Well, for one, extra credit gets Spencer nowhere, just so we're all clear on that. And two, check over on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and you can get sucked into one of our podcasts that don't blow. Also, head on over to Discord, and we'll write you some Kirby fan fiction in the Discord.
While you're doing that, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so Kirby can tell you that we've got some new content. And Leave us a little message about your favorite thing HAL ever produced in the comments below.
Okay. This will be a production. I don't know. Would anyone like to go first?
I think I could go first with one of mine.
Okay.
Spencer, I will allow it.
Allowed. Hold on, wait. Let me and Teddy. Are you cool with this?
Me? I'm
Yeah.
cool with this.
Okay. Sorry, we had to take a sidebar.
It has to synchronize, though. We have to try and do it without communicating same time.
Yeah.
Allowed.
Wow.
Okay, go ahead.
Welcome, viewers. All right, so I went through Shmuplations and found two good articles, and the first one, actually the second one I covered, is more an interview with Iwata, and it goes over all of his introductions into the gaming space and how he got started. I found some interesting stuff about how he got started in the industry, although I don't know if that's going to be as pertinent. So I want to talk about, they asked him, what was the first game you worked on for the Famicom? And he said it was a home console port of Joust for the Famicom. Joust is a game where you fly around on ostriches. That's weird that it's spelled. I never really thought about the spelling of ostrich before, but it makes me want to think like ostriches. I don't know. Maybe that is the right way. I don't know. Trying to knock your opponent off. If you're even 1 pixel higher than him when you collide, you win. One of the companies that I had invested in, HAL Laboratory, had a close working relationship with Nintendo. And it was through them that I first heard about this new interesting hardware console, the Famicom, that Nintendo was about to release. I then went to Nintendo's office and asked them to let us develop software for them. It took us about 2 months to complete Joust, I think. However, due to various circumstances, Nintendo ended up being unable to release the game. After that, the next game I worked on for Nintendo was Pinball and then Golf. For its time, Golf was an extremely impressive program. It took me a really long time to finish. There you go. He did Golf and Pinball.
Gorf.
Apparently, he did like all the golf games. It was like his direction. And I know you guys like the golf games. I'm not as big into them, but I know Teddy loves those golf games.
I have that golf game.
Oh, you do?
It's just called golf.
Yeah.
I've tried that. I don't. That one I don't like.
Oh,
It's pretty archaic.
Yeah, they've come a long way.
Suppose he worked hard on it. The latter days of the Famicom, he made a game called Metal Slater Glory.
Yeah.
It's famous for being one of the most expensive Famicom games of its time. This game took a tremendously long time to finish. It's actually kind of amazing that we stuck to it, persevered, and eventually released it. But from a management perspective, it was a mistake. Oh.
Ooh.
What's it called? Metal.
You guys
Slug?
know what this is? Metal Slater Glory.
I didn't put that on my list. What is that?
It looks kind of like definitely an anime inspired game, and
it's Japan only. Yeah.
It's definitely Japan only. Apparently, they didn't release very many copies. Just like never, even though it was so hard to make. After that, we entered the era of the Super Famicom. We had published a number of titles under our own name as HAL Laboratory, but we were under immense time pressures during this period. As you probably know, in 1992, the company almost went bankrupt. It was due to that crisis that I ended up becoming president. We were caught in a vicious circle. What was going on? We didn't have enough time, so we released games before they were really finished and ready for release. Then those games wouldn't sell very well because they weren't very good, which put us in an even more desperate position for our next development. Obviously, this wasn't going to work, and the only way to break out of this cycle was to create a proper game, something that would garner the support of players. But as developers, the whole situation had taken a big toll on our morale. On the verge of bankruptcy, I turned to everyone at HAL and said, okay, from here on out, every game we create is going to sell 1 million copies. I think everyone thought he's lost his mind, but after that, we released Kirby's Adventure, and then Kirby's Dream Course, and Mother 2, on the Super Famicom. Thanks to these successes, everyone's attitude changed, and they started saying things during development like, if we don't change this, it won't sell 1 million copies, etc., etc. So yeah, I guess in a way, Kirby saved the company.
Kirby, you saved HAL.
Kirby, give us Mother 3.
There is details about Mother 3 in here.
Kirby.
Kirby's world.
And Teddy's going to correct me if I mispronounce this name because I'm infamously terrible at pronouncing Japanese words, but their names. But Shigesato Itoi.
You're fine, man. You said you got it after Elden Ring, so you've lived up to that end of the bargain.
I read that during that time, Nintendo offered to help HAL out of bankruptcy on the condition that they make you president. Iwata said about that, I'm afraid I'm not able to go into liberty about the details. Itoi knows a little bit of the background from that time, so I think he just said that in an offhand way. It's definitely true things weren't going well for HAL, but many people at Nintendo had faith in us. If they can just unleash their true potential, they'll be a great developer. People like Miyamoto, who had known firsthand about our contribution to Nintendo since the early Famicom days, were saying stuff like that. And so were several other key people at Nintendo. In the past, we had applied ourselves and made solid quality games that were profitable. As such, it was Nintendo that came to us in our darkest hour, and in more ways than one, gave us vital support to get through it. Accordingly, we left the marketing and sales side up to Nintendo after that, and returned to our original focus of making good games. I think it was that experience that set us on the path to having our next several releases be million sellers. Didn't need that. Talk a little bit about Earthbound. We weren't originally involved in the development of Mother 2, but right after we finished Kirby's Adventure, someone spoke to us about it and said, they've been working on this for 4 years and they're still not done. Can you help them? At first, we had only planned to give some advice here and there, but ultimately we ended up overhauling the entirety of programming. And they had to basically start over with the development, although the design was already completed. And of course, Earthbound's one of my favorite games, so it holds a special place in my heart.
Is that the?
It's a little boy.
Is that the? Oh, it's not Kirby. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, are we only doing Kirby?
I'm just kidding.
Can't wait for your segment. And then Iwata has just some final words. I think it's amazing that the biggest hit the game industry has ever had, Pokemon, was a Game Boy game. I think there's so much to learn from that. Cutting-edge graphics and impressive CGI are tools, but they aren't the only tools we have. Of course, there's some players who really want to see the latest and greatest in graphics and technology, and there isn't anything wrong with that, but I definitely think there are other avenues of approach. I don't want every game developer to do the same thing. It will be a richer, more diverse, more enjoyable industry if we're all moving along different vectors.
Yeah, I remember reading that he made like a big push for the original Pokemon. Pokemon's cool.
Pokemon's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty
We
good.
have a whole month
I have a
dedicated to it.
I have a Teddy got me a Ask Iwata book that has the Ask Iwata articles and stuff in it. So I've been reading about that. Reading about his belief in the Pokemans.
I believe in Pikachu.
I believe in a Pikachu like no one ever has.
I love that you always make a different rendition of that theme song.
See me playing with my Venusaur, and I find whip
Teddy,
through the door.
Teddy, you do that in private, man. You don't tell anybody about it.
Well, just did a little exposed.
I guess I'll go next.
Wait. I want to talk about Spencer.
Okay.
Hey, Spencer.
Talk about Spencer.
Go ahead.
Hey. So, do you feel like I don't know, like without Kirby, there would have been like HAL would have just ceased and desist?
Cease and desist. Yeah, I. It sounds like they really were about to go out of business, and I bet you a lot of companies at the time were doing that. I don't know that for a fact, but you can just see like a lot of companies probably cashed in on the video game craze and made, crap games for a while, and it was okay until Nintendo came around and put a seal of approval on things, and then I'm sure a lot of companies went out of business, and it looks like they were kind of turning into that, and then they decided to pull it up and made Kirby, and I've got some really good Kirby notes too, but we'll go on that later. But I like that they changed their business practice to say that it has to be over 1 million copies. I think a lot of people they don't think in a marketing term. They think of like an artistic term, which is fine. But if you keep doing that, you'll just end up and aren't thinking about the bottom line. You just go bankrupt. You can't make anything anymore. So I like that they changed their philosophy for that.
Did Kirby's Dream Course sell 1 million copies?
I could look it up.
I was having
Let's
trouble with
look up-
VG charts for Kirby's Adventure, but I confirmed Kirby's Adventure was 1.75, and then it only went up from there. Kirby's Dreamland 2 was like 2 million or something.
What was Dreamland 1?
Don't know.
I'm at VG charts right now. I'm looking it up. But yeah, that'd be interesting if that game sold a lot. I would be surprised. There we go. Kirby's Dream Course. Sales. Come on. Give me some good info.
The original Dreamland sold 5 million, 5.13 million. Kirby's
That's the
Adventure,
sales.
1.75.
This one says, I think it's a little broken because it says history under construction, but the only thing, it does have a chart in here, but it's only for Japan. It's at 0.6 million. Maybe the American stuff would bump it up to over 1 million.
It's so on the wiki. There's best-selling Kirby games, and then it says copies sold in millions. I don't see Dream Course on there, so maybe in America it just didn't, or globally outside of Japan, people didn't much care for it. I know that I didn't hear about it until they started putting it on the SNES Mini and the Switch Online.
Oh, I knew about that game. That game's rad. The game's rad.
I liked it when I was a little younger, and then I played it recently, and I was like, this game's fucking hard.
You're gonna have multiple players to have fun with it, though. Really?
No, I like playing it. I like playing it alone. Back in the day.
It just gets it starts to get too demanding as far as your score.
Yeah, the game doesn't fuck around. Jesus.
Which
is ironic because it's a Kirby game.
Right, we've learned from Kirby that Kirby does not fuck around. It gets
Kirby doesn't
tough.
fuck around.
He sucks around.
Oh.
There's a little wild D, swallowed that. Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby.
Okay, Alex.
Hi, my name's Alex. I looked at what HAL Laboratory released. Shit, I closed the page. Hold on. I have a list on my phone, though. Why did I close the page? Am I a fucking idiot or what?
You had one job.
I had one job. So what I did was we obviously can't talk about a video game company like HAL without talking about video games, what they produce. And it's common knowledge that HAL produced Kirby, so I wanted to make it a point not to bring up any Kirby games during this segment because you all already probably know that they made Kirby games. So I went through each Nintendo console and I listed a few games that I wanted to talk about, and then there's some other notes at the end. So on the NES, the games that I thought were pretty notable that aren't Kirby the first one. The biggest one I think to me is Balloon Fight, which is a big part of Nintendo's history. They reference that game literally whenever they can. It's a huge part of their history. Also, Mock Rider and Adventures of Lolo 1 through 3, I think, are pretty cool C-tier Nintendo games. Spencer already alluded to it. They did port of Joust. That was a thing. They did a port of Defender 2, which is another big 80s arcade game, and Millipede, which is also a big 80s arcade game. So some pretty notable games on NES. Game Boy, we have Revenge of the Gator, which is a pinball game that I talked about before. Tracks, which is a shooter. I didn't even know about that game. They made Pokemon Pinball on Game Boy Color, which is, we'll start to see more Pokemon as we go along. Shanghai, a Mahjong solitaire game, and Ghostbusters 2. Because well, I guess it's like I mean, it's kind of strange to hear HAL doing a licensed game like Ghostbusters 2 of all things, but it's there. SNES, the biggest one obviously is going to be Earthbound. That's a game where you're bound to the Earth or
Do you
something.
think that's their biggest?
That's outside of Kirby. That's probably the one that
Oh.
is like
Yeah.
the most well known is Earthbound.
You're right. I didn't even think of that.
Also SimCity is also a big one on SNES, and that's something that they were involved with. Yeah, that's a pretty
SimCity. Holy shit!
yeah, that's a pretty popular game. A couple other ones, Hyperzone, which I've already forgotten what it was. It's a shooter. Okay, Arcana, which is or Arcana. I don't know how you're supposed to say it. It's an RPG, and Vegas Stakes. If you want to go to Vegas, there you go. You can gamble. The N64 is where you start to see them really focus.
How about
What?
there's a Metal Slayer Glory released in 2000
We've already talked about this
on the Super Nintendo.
The Super Nintendo.
What?
Oh, that's the one. No, the one you're talking about was on.
It was on Famicom.
What the fuck? 2001.
They released a 2000.
That's the same game though. It goes to the same article.
That is bizarre.
Director's cut. That's
it's like some special.
That is weird.
I didn't even know they were stopping. They were already like ending the N64 at that time.
Yeah, that was the end of the N64's lifetime. That's so weird.
The original was released in '91 on the Famicom.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, okay. N64 is where we start to see them kind of focus in a little bit. There's really a lot of Pokemon games that they were involved with. They worked on the Pokemon Stadium titles, which are some of my favorites. Also, Pokemon Snap for Teddy there, and Smash Bros. A little breakout game called Smash Bros. I think it might go places. Also, it's notable to say that they worked on SimCity 64 for the 64 DD in Japan only, and also the canceled version of Mother 3, which was canceled, never happened. From there, I kind of skipped the GameCube. They worked on Melee. Smash Bros. Becomes a huge thing from this point.
But Melee's a nothing game. I wouldn't even cover.
Yeah, it's whatever. Fuck it. But Melee and Kirby's Air Ride's really all that's notable. They had a couple other canceled Kirby games, but Melee.
Look, they were already building like the weird shit Kirby games, like where it's like a gimmick. They canceled them, but Tilt and Tumble
2.
Kirby. Oh, and there's a Kirby for Nintendo GameCube. I guess
that was
would've
the
been
canceled
cool
3D game. Yeah. Yeah. So moving from there, I forgot to list GBA, so we'll do that real fast. They worked on Mother 3. That's a game. They also worked on Kirby and Kirby, so that's all we got there. And a couple other canceled games that don't have articles, so I can't tell you about them. I don't know what they are. There's just names. And over on the DS, they worked on Common Sense Training, Japan only. Pokemon Ranger, one of Spencer's all-time favorites. I know that much.
Dun, 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 dun.
Picross 3D, which is a game I actually super enjoy that game. And Face Pilot for DSiWare. The classic Face Pilot for DSiWare.
The pilot with the face.
The pilot, the Face Pilot. I skipped Wii because they did Kirby, and Kirby. They also did some other channels. It looks like I don't even know. They don't have articles, so I can't tell you about them. Thank you, Wikipedia. 3DS, obviously a shit ton of Kirby, so we'll skip all that. But they introduced the Box Boy series, which is a series of simple platformers where you play as Box Boy, and there's 3 of those on the 3DS. And also they made Face Raiders, the built-in 3DS software where you take a picture of your face and it flies around the room or whatever, that you look at for like 5 seconds and you're like, okay, I'm never touching that again. And then on Switch, they did some more Box Boy. Obviously Kirby's there. And they did a port of their game Part-Time UFO, which Teddy has talked about in the past. If you want to be a UFO,
We can give you a link.
some other notable. What?
to the past.
Link?
Moving on.
Yeah. No, they didn't make a Zelda. Other notable things. I didn't want to go through the other things, like the other things that they really developed for. So I want to just list what they've developed for beyond this. They've developed for the Commodore VIC-20, the Commodore 64, the MSX, MSX2, Windows, obviously mobile with UFO game, and they helped with the computer animation for Pokemon 2000.
Fuck is that?
The movie?
So it's there you go. That's some games that and stuff that they worked on. It's kind of interesting to me that they seem to have like a deep root in Pokemon, especially near like the late '90s.
I thought you were about to say near the series.
Near.
Near Automata.
I didn't know this, but I guess they maybe you know more about this. I stopped paying attention closely to Smash Bros, but in 2008 it stopped being from HAL Laboratory.
Yeah, it went to I think from Brawl on Sakurai's team. I think their name's just Sora. They worked on it.
Yeah,
and then
Aura Game Arts, and then 2014 on its Bandai Namco.
yeah, Bandai Namco, which is still involved with Sakurai, but
So he just like created a different company to handle Smash Bros. 'Cause it
yeah,
got too
he
big?
basically he walked away from HAL and all that and created his own stuff, but he still worked closely with with Nintendo, obviously, for certain games and such.
Gotcha. Why do you think that they basically turn into a Kirby company?
I think it ties into what you were saying about the million sellers. I mean, obviously they focused in on Kirby, they focused in on Pokemon, which is obviously going to sell, especially during the 64 generation. They focused in more on, I guess, what they knew was going to sell and stopped making Ghostbusters 2.
Well, don't bash Ghostbusters 2 unless you played it. Okay, for one.
I didn't
Two.
bash it. I'm just saying. I don't know anybody that played it. It could be the greatest game ever.
It is. Two, they worked on these Pokemon games. Those are definitely million sellers. Especially Pokemon Stadium and Snap, 1999. I don't know how that didn't sell like 20 million copies. But like, why do you think they stopped becoming this? Like, it seemed like they were a standby company that did these like spin-offs or whatever with the bigger games. But then they just stopped.
Oh yeah, it just became Kirby and Box Boy. Don't forget about Box Boy.
Yeah, classic.
Not saying anything bad about Box Boy.
Box Boy month coming soon.
Yeah, we got it. We have our September already planned for that, so no short change there. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, they stopped being a Kirby or start being anything but Kirby, really. Although Picross 3D, I love Picross.
Yo, Picross 3D is awesome.
Special place in my heart for that stuff.
Apparently, they did a part 2 on 3DS as well, and I didn't know about that. Round 2. I'm guessing it's like a download only or something.
I couldn't get into the 3D Picross. The 2D ones I like, but 3D is a little too advanced for me.
Too Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. Too much of this Game Boy.
And that was my segment on games.
What's your favorite non-Kirby HAL Laboratory game?
Ooh, that's a good question. I am, because I like a lot of more old school stuff. I am partial to. Granted, I haven't beaten Earthbound, so maybe a good change. But I am partial to Balloon Fight or Mock Rider. I like those two games from the NES. I think Balloon Fight probably. That game's a classic.
Definitely Earthbound for me.
But also Pokemon Stadium is also amazing.
Any of these games you feel like should get more attention?
Ghostbusters 2.
Definitely. Underrated.
Should get more attention. I don't know. I guess just Pokemon Stadium, Earthbound, Balloon Fight. I think Earthbound gets enough attention though.
I think Pokemon Snap is like it's the
Well,
game that
Snap-
nobody wanted when it came out. And it's actually like kind of great, but like literally everyone was like, "We just want a Pokemon where you play it like the games." And they're like, "What about one where
No.
you take pictures?" And everyone's like, "Fuck that!" But it's actually kind of awesome. So I don't know.
Yeah, that game like taught me about photography. Like, and I don't care that much about photography, but I still think it's cool and like it makes it fun. Like the concept of like seeing things in life and like framing and the best shots and centering things. I don't know. It's kind of fun and unique and doing that with the charm of Pokemon characters.
Yeah, Oak's like, you need better lighting, and you're like, I'm 10.
I'm like, teach me more, Professor.
This picture's not very good.
Oh, you can
Yeah,
barely
to me-
see it.
It's probably Stadium. I have a deep love for Pokemon Stadium. It's one of my favorite N64 games, and they still don't do it. They, I think the closest we've gotten since is like they did like a Battle Revolution on Wii, but even then it was no Stadium.
Get thrown back in the arena, boys. HAL Labs.
HAL Labs. Teddy, I'm gonna pass the torch to you.
I'm not gonna drop the fire. Set the apartment, flames. Okay. All right. Oh shit! I looked up HAL Laboratory. No, I didn't.
Oh, no.
I looked up HAL Laboratory. I looked up the company history for HAL Laboratory, and on their company profile, hallab.co/jp/English, everything's translated to English, but you can go back and forth Japanese English without using the Google functions. And they have 4 main sections: our philosophy, company profile, our history, and Inu Tamago, which is translation for dog egg, which is the company logo.
It is a dog and some eggs.
Yeah.
Dogs don't do that. That's silly.
Yeah, we could actually talk about that first. So they have a quote when how they came up with the name Inu Tamago. It's actually not the original company logo. I think they changed it in '98, which I'll come back to. But a connection between people that leads to the unknown. Ideas coming together to form extraordinary combinations. Keep these ideas close. Keep them warm. And a new type of joy comes into the world. One we've never seen before. Like a dog keeping eggs warm. This is the symbol of HAL Laboratory. So, it's pretty poetic. I don't know. It's like a cool haiku or something.
I still don't fucking get it.
Oh, come on. It's the warmth of a dog and I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. And I've never
Warmth of the
thought that
egg.
deeply about it, but it's unexpected.
A dog and his egg. A story of a dog and his eggs.
Eggs.
There
Yeah.
we go.
The Sonic connection.
So,
So,
they hatch. Do you think they're puppies?
yes. In 1980, like a dog with eggs, HAL was hatched into HAL Laboratory. It was formed in Kanda in the Chiyoda ward of Tokyo. The president at the time was Mitsuhiro Ikeda. In 1984 is the next major milestone when it looks like somebody related to him, Tsuyoshi Ikeda, took the office as president. A couple of years passed by. 1991, the symbol of the company was changed to spring. I don't know, maybe you could see that in some of the logos. And the Yamanashi R&D Center was established. In 1993, Satoru Iwata took office as president. And so I guess that would be post-Kirby phase, like post-introduction of Kirby and maybe Earthbound, I'm not sure. But like Kirby's Adventure, Dreamland were already out at that point. In 1998 is when they changed the symbol to the Inu Tamago. And that'll always be engraved in my head for like Smash Bros. On the N64 when you start the game and it like, starts with like picking up the toy and the dog egg symbol comes up. In 2001, an affiliate company, Warp Star Incorporated, was established. I guess more of the focus on Kirby and the Million Sellers. 2015, a new person, Masayoshi Tanimura, took office as chairman and CEO, and Satoshi Mitsuhara takes office as president and COO. I think that was around the time that Satoru Iwata had passed away. In 2017, a new brand, HAL Egg, was launched to expand into the smart devices and new markets. I don't think this was like the first game to really dabble with Nintendo game to dabble with the smartphone audience. I think that was the Pokemon Go, but after seeing the HAL and Pokemon connections, it kind of makes sense. And a couple changes were made since then in 2018. So they have an interesting timeline. Their philosophy has a lot to do with making something for everybody. I'll read a quote here from their philosophy page. We bring you happiness through our creations, and that becomes our happiness too. Just as we did in the past, here at HAL Laboratory, we're going to continue on as an enterprise, one that values the happiness of our customers and employees. And they also describe how they try to make things that are pick up and play friendly for newcomers, but also that offer some depth for players that are looking for a deeper and more rich experience. They've dabbled a bit in not just video games, but things around video games. So like development of built-in applications on game consoles. Alex was talking about some of them on the Wii, but we didn't really find out what they were. Development of game development environment and support tools, web services for game consoles and more, character merchandising, planning and production of events, music, books, and other game-related products, electronic toys and game peripheral devices. And when you go to their works, and so this is kind of like a legacy website. It just tells you about, like what is their legacy? Because I see things for like, obviously Kirby takes the forefront, and you see things like Forgotten Land, Part-Time UFO, Kirby Fighters. There's a link for a Kirby Cafe CD. That's pretty cool. You can see things from like the DS era. You can see the Box Boy stuff. They have something that they made. I don't know if you guys knew about this, called the Pasacom Mini. It's a mini console that looks like a old school computer with a keyboard, and it's tiny, and you can play really old legacy games. Description: the Pasacom Mini is a palm-sized computer that is a reproduction of a former masterpiece packed with love, make, execute, and play. Bad translation. As the first in the series, the personal computer MZ80C was released by Sharp Corporation in 1979, has been reproduced in a quarter size with the same appearance. In addition, you can enjoy programming with Smile Basic of SmileBoom Co.Ltd, which is a modern all caps basic environment, and the hardware emulation function of the MZ80 series can execute machine language programs published in computer magazines at that time. So that's a really cool throwback, and I think love letter for people who got into like that era of gaming and playing with like making their own games on consoles. It had 5 game software that were popular at the time implemented there, but it's very hard to come by. I think there were only like 500 sold or something. I just thought that was a really cool legacy thing. And yeah, they've got a rich history. They take pride in it, and they value the customer. And I think they always strive to bring this idea of fun and engagement for all players. And it shows, like a dog with eggs. Something for everybody.
Or like a dog with eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could totally see it with Kirby. It's the perfect representation of that.
It's also kind of perfect that they ended up with Nintendo, because they really, I don't know, they really match.
Dog.
Yeah, from philosophy.
Eggs.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like the eggs
dogs.
to Nintendo's dog.
Yeah. Yeah, Nintendo's the dog and they're the eggs.
Basically.
HAL Egg.
HAL Egg.
It's interesting to think of HAL making hardware. You always think of these software developers as just like the games they make, but it would be interesting if you could get some more of them to create some kind of hardware, how they would make it.
I remember hearing about the Sharp computer thing, because I think Iwata talked about that one, about like programming on it and learning how to program and stuff.
Would you get one?
Wouldn't it be crazy? Oh,
They're like really old games. It's like, looks like I saw a couple of them. I should send you guys a link. They look like Atari games. So I know Spencer's
No,
on the board.
I think I remember him. I think I remember Iwata talking about the Sharp computer, talking about learning how to program and like his. I forgot what his parents wanted him to do, but him taking like a basic programming job just because like he made something and presented it to some guy, and it was like, hey, wow, you're pretty good. And I could be messing it up. I think it was something like that.
Makes sense why they made it then. I feel like a lot of the first timers at Nintendo, like the Star Fox guys, that's a big story with them is they learned to program and they were brought over from overseas because they knew how to do things that like, the Japanese developers didn't.
And Argonaut made Buck Bumble, so and Croc.
Oh, there you go.
It's not Argonaut month though. Sorry.
Satoru Iwata was definitely like the face of the company, I feel like.
It's funny we haven't really talked about Sakurai at all.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's also a notable fella that came from HAL.
He just feels like the Smash Bros guy.
Well, he was highly involved with the creation of Kirby.
Yeah.
That's like his baby.
But if he stepped away and then like we have like the Kirby Forgotten Land, is I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool. I'd never heard about this mini console, so that is really neat.
I don't know how you would play it. Like, how do you touch those keys?
With my very tiny hand.
Toothpick.
Well, I have an article about Kirby. And Sakurai's in it.
Okay.
It is Kirby month.
So yeah, I found an article where they were talking about the creation of Kirby's Adventure in 1993, and it includes Masahiro Sakurai, Shigeru Miyamoto,
Who?
Hiroaki Suga,
I don't know.
Takao Shimizu,
Takao.
Takashi Saito.
Shimizu, by the way. Oh, yeah. Okay, good.
Oh, Shimizu. Okay. And then Satoru Iwata.
You got that one.
This would be 93. And they said, how did you come up with the idea for the adorable character of Kirby? And Sakurai said, just after I joined Nintendo, they were accepting game plans for a game that anyone could enjoy. Just like Teddy was talking about. That got me thinking, I want to make a cute main character who everyone will love. The game I ended up making then was the Kirby's Dream Land game for Game Boy. Iwata said, when someone really loves a character, they like to sketch them in their notebooks, right? That's why we gave Kirby a simple circular design so anyone could draw him.
Raise your
People
hand
like
if you've
Alex
ever
could
drawn
draw.
Kirby. Spencer.
Raise your hand, Spencer.
Actually, no, I have.
Good.
When Super Smash Bros. Came out, I was like obsessed with the N64 game, and my love for the series tapered after that. But I was like obsessed with both Smash Bros. And video game magazines. So I combined that love to make my own guide for Smash Bros. And so I drew all of the characters in their own little pages that talked about their movesets.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I did draw Kirby.
I used to draw Kirby, and I used to draw Bomberman a lot.
Dude, I did too. Bomberman was great.
He's got a cute design, so it's fun to draw.
Absolutely.
Just going through my
question.
sketchbook, yeah.
Oh, you got some for us?
Yeah, no, I used to. So I have like. Back in 2009, I drew this thing. It looks like he came from Chrono Trigger. I didn't even play it. But you can see in the bottom there, it's 2009.
Oh, damn.
5/24/09. I got like some slimes and some Sonic from 2015.
I can barely see that one.
Yeah, it's really
the pencil ones are hard. I drew Saria.
Get really in there.
Okay.
That's cool that you have those drawings. That'll be fun to look at.
Yeah, I like to date them too.
Oh wait, were those a Pikmin?
Yeah.
Yeah, you drew Pigman
Shovel
before.
Knight.
Oh yeah, that's good.
I drew a Goron.
I don't think I could draw anymore. I think my ability's gone. Who's
Yeah,
that?
That's just a Goron Link.
Go on. Oh, gotcha.
And then
I used to draw.
sketchbook here. Yeah, I think if I get a... Oh, we did Yokai Watch. Yeah, I used to like just doodling in school. And so, like, Kirby was just an easy draw, I feel like. Like, it's just like a quick, like, circle, like, huh, you know, like, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got a Bomberman one, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Bomberman.
Yeah.
Well, I asked him, was Kirby always pink? Sakurai said, "Oh, who's this?"
Zipple Zap?
Oh my gosh, Zipple Zap.
Whoa!
Wow,
That's
that
a
takes me back.
When was that? 2000, early 2020?
No, that was 19.
That was
was the end of
19.
Wait, I have the date
Yeah,
for
yeah.
you.
Damn.
That was the end of 19, I believe, because we were
That's
doing
forever
the
Oh, no, I
red.
don't have the date. No, it was 2020. Because...
Was it? Oh yeah, that's right. It would have been January 2020
When we were like making Pokemon designs
because
or
that's
something.
Pokemon
Was that
month.
what that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Zipple Zap was our original Pokemon.
Damn, I don't have any Kirby in here. I have a Charizard. I don't know. I'm getting carried away. I'm just showing off my drawings. I should do this more.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have a drawing thing. That's a good idea. I wouldn't mind jumping back into that.
Could share them to the Discord.
I don't think I have any in mind, but oddly enough, I think Damon has some in mind. You know, binder. So I draw him stupid shit all the time. It was hilarious.
Binder full of Kirby's.
They asked Sakurai, was Kirby always pink? He said, I'd been thinking he would be pink since we made Kirby's Dreamland. Yes, of course, the Game Boy visuals had to be monochrome. Shimizu said, but Sakurai, you were the only one who thought Kirby was pink. And Sakurai said, yeah, that's right. Once it came time to create a full-color promotional illustration for Kirby's Adventure, the staff were all talking about it. What, you mean Kirby isn't white? Or I thought he was yellow. Iwata says, now that you mention it, on the cover for the American release of Kirby's Dreamland, Kirby was colored white. It had a very mysterious aura. Miyamoto said, I remember the first time I saw the color illustration. Yeah, pink, that looks good. I thought to myself, normally a character like Kirby would have been yellow. Think Pac-Man or Nubao. Who's Nubao?
I don't know.
Nubao. That's why when I saw Kirby with a different color, it felt really fresh. Yeah, nobody knew he was pink until they had to do a colored version.
That's actually why the second player Kirby in Smash is yellow, and most times second player Kirby is yellow. Because, yeah, and because Miyamoto thought he was yellow.
They asked, why is his name Kirby? Iwata said, before we settled, this is what made me laugh. We were doing our research and I audibly laughed. Iwata said, before we settled on the name Kirby, he was originally called Twinkle Popo.
Yep, Twinkle Popo. Yep, I knew about that.
After we finished the game, however, we talked with Nintendo and it was decided that we should change the name. Shimizu said we wanted American kids to enjoy this game too, you see. We asked Nintendo of America for their suggestions. Kirby was one of many that they sent us, and it caught my eye when I first saw it. I remember Jasper, or Gasper, however they want to pronounce that, was another one. There were lots. Miyamoto said we wanted a name that would sound like an American Idol, which at the time must have been a completely different reference. But Kirby was actually the name of an important lawyer at Nintendo of America.
Jack Kirby.
So professional. Hey guys, Jack Kirby here.
Jack Kirby helped Nintendo with the trial against Universal when they tried to sue them for Donkey Kong because King Kong, and Jack Kirby proved that prior Universal had said that King Kong was I forgot to say like public domain or something, and he helped to get Nintendo out of that bit because they weren't as big of a company. So to me, in my eyes, it's always been also like a bit of like an honor for them to be like, it's Kirby named after that lawyer that saved our asses at one time.
That lawyer sucks.
Yeah,
That's
and
really cool. That's good choice.
you can't hate Kirby as a character. So like, that's pretty much he's been immortalized as like one of the most lovable characters in
Yeah.
gaming. So
They asked, why did you give Kirby that crazy ability to inhale everything? Sakurai said, I was wondering if I could make a game with simple controls where you use the enemies to attack. I was thinking of using an enemy the way you'd use a soccer ball. Heading the enemy, kicking the enemy. Iwata said, we came up with a lot of ideas, and the one that stuck was flying. How would Kirby fly? By puffing up like a balloon. How would he do that? By inhaling the air. Wouldn't it be fun then if he could inhale enemies at the same time? That was the basic thought process. And then why did you give Kirby the ability to absorb and copy enemy abilities for this game? And this ties into something that Teddy was talking about. I just thought it was crazy how it connected that way. Kirby was originally designed to be a somewhat easy game, something that a young child could enjoy playing. However, after the Game Boy Kirby's Dream Land was released, there was a lot of feedback from players saying it was too easy and too short. For the sequel, I was thinking, how can I retain the easy parts, but make it so skilled players could have fun too? That was when the idea of copying enemy abilities came to me. For example, Suga said, for example, even if you could just easily fly your way to the end of the level by taking the parasol ability, you could enjoy the game in a whole new way. Each different ability would allow the player to approach the level differently. We wanted something players would enjoy experimenting with. Iwata said we originally had over 40 enemy abilities. From those, we selected the best ones, whittling it down to the final number you see in the game today. Saito asked, what were some of the abilities that didn't make the cut? Sakurai said, I believe there was one where you could create blocks, one where Kirby could shrink down. I think there was even one where Kirby rode on a rocket. Iwata said there was one called Animal 2 where you could scratch and bite enemies. Yeah, some extra little abilities that they had to cut. But yeah, that ties into exactly what Teddy was saying, where they wanted to make games for like experienced players and new players alike. And I think Kirby is a really good representation of that.
Kirby.
that's funny.
Main character.
I always like the parasol conceptually, but I find it really impractical.
Yeah, it seems weird to give somebody the ability to slowly fall when you have also the ability to float,
Yeah,
like just naturally.
and infinitely. Yeah, most games it's infinitely. The parasol is like it's fun, but like to just kind of glide around. But like I don't find there's too many situations where it's like really useful.
We learned.
Today was a day of learning.
Hey Google, why did they
Welcome.
name him Kirby?
Why him, Kirby?
Why did you name him
Why
the
I
Kirby?
got named Kirby? Why is he the Kirby?
So now we've a little peek behind the curtain and learned more about not only Kirby, but the people behind Kirby for Kirby Month. Isn't that
So the real question is, who's HAL?
absorb it?
Who did they name HAL after?
We have that.
I have that answer.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't. I have what I think is a joke, honestly.
Okay.
But there's a thing that said that they're always one step ahead of IBM. Did you guys read that?
No.
So the company got its name because each letter put them one step ahead of IBM. H before I, A before B. But it also says in many of its games used during the mid 1990s, it used the name Halken, derived from their Japanese name. So I don't know.
Hawking?
It's probably more close to that. I would assume.
Stephen Hawking style.
Stephen Hawking. Confirmed.
I always thought it was named after 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I see no mentions of that.
I always thought it was named after the guy at the pizza shop, Hal. Hey,
Yeah.
how you doing?
Well, they named Kirby after a lawyer, so they could have been like, "Who's that guy we get the pizza from?"
Mario
Who's the dad
was
from
the landlord, right?
from Malcolm in the Middle?
How?
Yeah, they named in 19 in like the 80s. They named their company after a character from Malcolm in the Middle.
Perfect.
Definitely makes sense.
You're not the boss of me now. You're not the boss of me now. And you're not so big. Life is Kirby.
Yes, no, Kirby. I don't blow.
All the Kirby's.
Could you believe? Could you imagine if Kirby was voiced by what's his face? Who's the guy that plays Malcolm? God, I can't forget his name.
Oh,
Frankie.
God. Frankie
Frankie
Muniz?
Muniz. Yeah. Like, hi, I'm Kirby.
I don't know. It's hard to do a Frankie Muniz impression. He's
Yeah.
so, like milk toast or whatever.
Yeah, it's
But-
a milk toast.
But yeah, that'd be great. They should just have Frankie Muniz now play every child character. It's just like this creepy old guy.
You ever heard about his like incident or whatever where he like had like memory loss?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff? Yeah, it's crazy. He's talked about like filming that show, and it just feels like he's watching somebody else because he doesn't have any memory of filming that show. It's crazy.
They pumped him full of chemicals to try to keep him young, like they do with all those kids.
Yeah, it's like Kirby. That's how he stayed so young for so long.
So he stayed so ball all this time.
Do you think so? It's like, so is Kirby really like a 40-year-old? Like, you think like off the set, if like the games are like a set, like a movie, like off the set, he's like, oh god, he's like smoking a cigarette. He's got like 5 o'clock shadow. You're like,
Kirby
we need you-
shades.
Kirby, we need you on set. Hi.
Bye.
It's like Kirby when the Botox runs out. Face just slumped.
All droopy.
Yeah. I'm battling the wife through divorce. And, oh yeah.
Mrs. Kirby wasn't too happy I stayed late last night. Give me my coffee, Joe.
I'm surprised the Switch game wasn't called Kirby in the Third Marriage or something like that.
Kirby in the third marriage.
Be a great fanfic.
Sucking up subpoenas. No.
Sucking up some penis or sucking up some
Subpoenas. Like
penis?
from his court hearings and stuff.
Some penis?
If you like
Penis, yeah.
subpoenas,
Do you like subpoenas? A
a
lot of
lot of.
Iwata. Well, thank you for listening to us ramble about HAL. Hopefully you learned something too. Let us know in the comments below what you learned or a piece of HAL knowledge we didn't talk about. Do you know some HAL knowledge?
Yeah, and feedback. How did you like the discourse? Evidence-based.
Yeah. Facts course.
We faxed you a copy.
What was it? What was the stamp I was doing?
Approved?
No. It was a different
Spencer
word.
approved. Or confirmed. No.
No, it wasn't confirmed.
Contextual moment. Contextualize.
Yeah.
Was it
Contextualize. I think.
contextualize? Contextual. I don't know. It doesn't sound right.
Certified.
No.
Circumstantial.
Was that the
Circumstantial. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was a
circumstantial.
Circumcise.
Circumcised. Bam! Kirby is circumcised.
Kirby and the circumcision.
Kirby and the Kirby and the circumcision circus.
That's World 3.
Dun, 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 dun.
Hey! Hey!
Ow.
Snip, snip. Snip, snip, snip.
It's like Big Lebowski where the dream he's running with the scissors.
Oh
That's the next game. DDD and Meta Knight showed up and were like, look, Kirby, we're circumcised. You get circumcised too.
I feel great.
Kirby's running away with his uncircumcised penis.
It's just like now that it's part of the thing, it has to like be flapping around as he's running.
Get back here, Kirby!
Had to animate a penis on Kirby.
Well, we started on cocks and we're ending on them too. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great one.
Bye!
Kirby, bye, bye, bye.
Bye, bye.
Hey y'all, don't forget to subscribe to them Button Mappers.